Thanks very much, Stefan. Good afternoon, everybody, on a nice, sunny, warm day here in Liverpool. So delighted you could join us for this. This is a project that we've been very interested in for a number of years now. And we see this now as an opportunity, certainly post-COVID, to look at how we can rebuild our markets, rebuild attractions, rebuild audiences. And therefore, this opportunity to have exploratory conversations with John and Simeon from Travelbeat, and also Carol McCloskey, who's kindly given up her time for the Museum of Modern Art based over in New York as the sales and marketing board over there, to come over and join us on this webinar to give us her insights from a New York perspective. We'll hopefully give you as an audience today a good understanding about what this project is all about and what the opportunities are about. Today is very much about, as I say, the start of this journey. We'll be, hopefully off the back of this, then conducting a number of detailed conversations with individual attractions who are interested in progressing this, taking it forward. But from my perspective, and also the team here at ML, we see this as a really exciting opportunity to progress something that we've been talked about for a while. And I think now we have the wealth, the depth, and the quality of attractions across the Liverpool and the Liverpool City region to really take this project forward. And if everything goes to plan and everything goes the way we would like it to do, we'll have it all ready and tied up by November for a World Travel Market. But we'll set ourselves some bold timetables and see how we get on. So I'm going to hand over now to James and James Wood and my team, who has kind of been leading on most of the conversations around this. I'm then going to listen to the rest of the webinar. I'll come back in at the end of it just to top and tail it in the context of putting my final comments around it. But I'm sure you'll find it very interesting. We're certainly very interested in it. And I'm also looking forward to Carly's views on it from a New York perspective. So enjoy the webinar.
Right, good afternoon, everybody. And it's good to see so many of our partners signed up for this session. So thank you very much for that. The way I'm going to go now is basically to ask a series of questions to John and Simon and then Carly. So these questions, some of them have actually come in from some of our partners, and we've made up some of them too. So I hope that these questions will help you. But obviously, if not, then you have the opportunity to ask them yourselves, as Stefan said before. So the question number one, which I have, which is actually for John. What we'd like to know is, why did the initiative come about, and specifically, why now?
So, hi everyone, and before I kind of answer, I want to say a huge thank you to you, James, to Chris, to Stefan, and the whole Marketing Liverpool team, really for coming with us on this journey, not in the least for today as well. I think for me, being from Liverpool and seeing, I'd say, a lot of familiar faces in the, or a lot of familiar names in the attendee box. I love the city. I have worked since I was able to work in the city, so since 2008 and the Capital of Culture year. And I think since that moment, I think I've always been fascinated with the city's breadth of attractions, breadth of tourism product. And Liverpool as a world-class city. And Simeon and I have worked as part of a Sightseeing Pass family and team now for about 3 years. And we've been able to build out passes all over the US. We've been able to promote those passes. And it's always kind of come to me that Liverpool is a city that's kind of missing a pass. And with kind of marrying that experience up with our experience of working inbound to Liverpool as well, we've been asked by so many tour operators, has Liverpool got a pass? How do I package it all together? So it just seems to me as a natural step and something that we can do. We can bring our expertise in, we can bring our background, our knowledge, and our technical relationships as well to the party. And for the reason why we wanted to bring it now is multiple reasons, really. Again, loving the city and wanting to make sure that the city recovers and succeeds in the medium to long term is something that I'm, again, very, very passionate about. I want to see Liverpool flourish, no matter what the context is. And also kind of logistically as well, passes kind of synonymously take a little bit of training with staff, take a little bit of training. Generally, I'd have some, as with all relationships, have some logistical teething problems, operational teething problems. And we thought, why shouldn't we start this now at a time when maybe everybody has a little extra capacity to be able to give the pass the time, the effort, the energy that it maybe needs to come together as a family, really, and help it work together as for Liverpool as a city, so that when we do get to next summer and we hopefully have our floodgates open and the tourists back, we've got all of those operational nightmares out of the way, not nightmares, hiccups out of the way, and we're all ready to promote to move forward with ease, really.
Excellent. Thank you very much, John. I couldn't agree more. So the next question I have, which is for Simon. So, I mean, I've heard from you guys that there are other cities who are running this as well. So what I'd really like is if you can tell us a bit more about the City Sightseeing Pass Company and the whole family around that. So it'd be really interesting, I think, for the partners to hear that.
Yeah, absolutely. I would also like to start with saying a good afternoon to everyone and thanking Marketing Liverpool for pulling today together. And to go to your question, James, there are a few strands to this. Of course, there's the Sightseeing Pass brand, which has been live since 2017. It's a New York-based company with a proprietary technology. And they have already 17 destinations live. 2020 was supposed to be a big European year for Sightseeing Pass. London and Spain managed to get live just before COVID, but some of the other plans had to be pushed back a little bit. We are very exciting that we kind of jumping the queue with Liverpool on multiple occasions with this one, and we are very optimistic that we can get, as Chris said, live by November. Another strand is, of course, the citysights.com, which is an OTA which has also been live since 2017. It's kind of a cousin to the Sightseeing Pass, but they also can work pretty close where we need them to. Of course, TravelBeat Sales and Marketing that comes with its own proprietary digital solutions, and some of you might be already aware of. And then the Spoonful company, which is a Liverpool-based company and got the license from Sightseeing Pass, as well as the technology, as well as the IP, and pulled all those strands into one centralized effort to bring the pass to Liverpool.
Wow, great. Thank you very much. That's excellent. Now, the other thing is, obviously, you know, it'd be great when we get this up and running in Liverpool, but can you give us a bit more detail on how it would work? You know, is it easy to use? You know, explain.
Yeah, of course. So it's a very simple solution, to be very honest and transparent with you. It is an app-based pass. So everything is digital, no voucher redemptions, nothing, everything is contactless. As I mentioned, it is a proprietary technology to the Sightseeing Pass. From a user experience, the pass holder, once they purchase a pass, they receive a QR code, which is unique to them. They show up at the attraction, they get scanned, and in they go. It's as simple as that. We do understand that a lot of the attractions have now moved into time allocation, and we have a few solutions if need be. But at this point, I would like to mention that from many of our attraction partners that have reopened, we have seen that there is no need for that yet. And many of our pass partners have asked us to stay on free sale simply because the volume is not there yet, even at those reduced capacities. So we do have a solution if we need to go into time allocation, but we would encourage that only the need is there.
Okay, great. Thank you very much. And of course, you know, I think also what all our partners would like to know is, you know, what are the main benefits going to be for them if they actually sign up for this? So, John, perhaps you could answer that one for us, please.
Of course. Again, there's a few strands when it comes the benefits. And I think the main one is the incremental marketing and sales efforts that we are putting behind it. Again, with our TravelBeat muscles flexed, we have 360 million user profiles that we can target with digital marketing all over the world. And that's where we see the majority of the sales coming from. Of course, we will also be on the Sightseeing Pass website. So you get the positioning there as well. Liverpool will be seen amongst New York, Las Vegas, London. So it's seen again on that world stage. For partners individually and specifically, you also get so much data and so many insights into where your customers are coming from, where they are going to in the city. So you'll know, for instance, if you are Mersey Ferries, that you will have come, your customers will have come from the Beatles story. They will be going onto the City Explorer bus right after. So it kind of gives you that ability to build relationships within the city away from the past, build bundles, build other relationships, build marketing co-ops of your own, and really help you to plan and to move forward. There are also incremental opportunities for partners to make more money as well, which we all like. So you can become a reseller of the pass yourself. You can become an affiliate, should you wish to. And there's all sorts of details that we can go into on that, maybe on a more of a one-to-one level. And then, of course, during kind of these wonderful and crazy times that we're in, everything is digitized as well. So there are no paper vouchers. There are very minimal touch points, as Simon already mentioned. All the pass customer will do is scan their pass and move forward. We also work very easily for finance teams, usually as well. Carly may choose to disagree or agree later. But on the whole, as long as the redemptions are all in place and as long as your front of house team is scanning, then it's super easy on the back end for the finance team to do that. I would say around 16-17% of the overall sales come from the business-to-business travel trade network as well. So we'll also be putting the city on the map even more so than it already is, with big OTAs, with bigger tour operators, and also being part of a city sightseeing and/or sightseeing pass and/or TravelBeat marketing effort at numerous trade shows all over the world as well when that starts to crank up. So everywhere from China through to Europe, through to America, the Sightseeing Pass family is always represented at those, just to help us build you and build your brand.
Yeah. Excellent, thank you very much. So obviously you've seen these passes be launched in cities in North America, Spain, London, etc. What do you think for Liverpool will be the main benefits for us?
Again, I think it partially comes down to the recovery campaign and making sure that as many people have Liverpool put in front of them at the key moments of time as travel starts to recover from key markets. We've also seen, and I can flick up a quick screen share if that helps, the way that the pass demographic works. Hopefully you can all see that, is that it is very much a global audience. So if we mention the dreaded B word, and if we do mention Brexit, then you can see that so many of the key pass markets, the likes of the US, South America, Canada, are really key pass buying markets. So they're kind of, I would see them as Brexit-proof markets. So not just to help us recover from the COVID storm, but also to help us weather the Brexit storm as well. There are multiple kind of ways that we can be seen there. And then again, as I maybe mentioned earlier, it comes down to positioning. Liverpool will be seen on this world stage alongside big cities across the UK, the US, Europe, where previously it's been missing because it hasn't had that pass opportunity.
Excellent. That's a really good chart that's actually to show. Also, obviously, we've got I think we've got about 400 partners altogether. So there'll be a lot of interest in this, but what are you looking for from our partners? Are there any sort of key things that you can mention? Because obviously it's, different partners offer different products, and, how easy will it be for them?
So we're looking for multiple things from partners. First and foremost, of course, we're looking for pass inclusions, and those pass inclusions really need to be consistent and really need to be frequent. So if you're a tour guide and you are used to being hired by a tour operator, or if you're used to kind of sporadic work, that won't necessarily work for the pass itself, but we do have other options that might entice you and might help us to collaborate a little easier and a little better. Where was I going? The other point, actually, to answer Rachel's question about how passes in the other cities have how passes in other cities have benefited attractions from outside. what we do with this, especially Liverpool City Region Pass, we see the likes of Nosy Safari Park as a really key player, a really big volume driver for us. So we're really keen to give you as much support as possible there. And there are ways and means that we can push tourists and we can push visitors to you. Because again, as Nosy Safari Park, we know that you have that kind of consistent model. I'm going to pass to Simon to answer the rest of that question.
Yes, just to add something to John's point, of course, consistency and frequency are key for inclusions, but we would also, of course, as with every reseller, we would be looking into a public liability insurance, and of course, the ability to download and use our redemption app, which is available both on Android as well as iOS devices. And needless to say that there is a training for all redemption points or senders as well as operators that will be scanning. To take it a step further, as John said, if you can't be on the pass for many reasons, we would still love to work with potentially everyone. So we would be looking into other value partners, and this is where we're going in. Partnerships on discounts, special discounts or special offers. So bars, restaurants, malls, shopping malls would be amazing partners, for our other cities. And of course, where an inclusion is not possible, the standalone is always an opportunity to continue to drive traffic to our partners through the citysites.com OTA, which I have covered before, I believe.
Okay, thank you very much. So we've heard lots of positives, benefits for partners, etc. Naturally, there are going to be some challenges, I guess, with this as well. Are there any challenges that you can sort of honestly talk about to our partners, just so they can bear this in mind?
John, do you want to go first, or do you want me to go first? However you want it.
I will go first. And again, I know the reason why we brought Carly with us is very much for balance, and you're going to hear a very, very balanced and a very objective opinion from Carly. Of course, anything I say is going to have a bit of a positive spin on it, of course. But of course, a challenge that has always come up with the pass business and with the travel trade and the tour operators and the B2B side of the industry in the world, of course, is commissions. The pass model, of course, is a volume-driven model. You as suppliers, as potential inclusions, need to ask yourself a question of, do I want yield? Do I want volume as my recovery strategy? If I'm going for a smaller amount of customers, but I want full yield from them, or if I want VIP products, or if I want expensive products, we can do that, but it might not necessarily come as a pass inclusion. What we are going to bring you is volume. So we, as the Sightseeing Pass, sell around 750,000 passes a year pre-COVID. And of course, pass business at the moment is dwindling, as the rest of the world is, in terms of travel and tourism. But what we noticed before this all happened was that bundles, passes, they were the really big volume drivers. They were where the increases were coming. That's kind of what the customer and the industry was demanding. They didn't just want to go and buy a ticket to an attraction, buy a separate ticket to an attraction. So in all of the cities, the pass is always within the top 3 sellers. And I think what we are, as Radio City plays them all the time, we are a no-win, no-fee. So we are not asking you for a marketing. We're not asking you for marketing dollars. We're not asking you for upfront payments. We're not asking you to pay to connect. And if you don't get paid, we don't get paid. So everything is in our interest to go out and sell those passes on your behalf. And I think that's a challenge.
I think just to add to another potential challenge, and I think this might answer Peter's questions. Of course, the pass as a business, its business model is walk-up business. So, and we totally understand that this is a challenge for the time being. There are different solutions that we could be working with the individual attractions. We would need to tailor that to its individual attraction and make sure that the operations can support the pass operations as well as what is in place from the venue side, but there are solutions in place for that. So pre-booking is something that we can totally support. And just to put some context to that, we have been working with time-ticketed attractions way before COVID. Since the very beginning of the pass, we have been working with time-ticketed allocation. So this is not something new to us. We know how to communicate. We know how to advise people on redemption processes. This is something that we have been doing very successfully, and we are very confident in delivering. To John's point, we are bringing an investment into Liverpool because we have a huge faith in the destination and the quality of the product. All we need is some faith on you from your side, Liverpool, to prove our value.
Excellent. Thank you very much. So just before we start to have a chat with Carly, don't forget to post your questions as well, and we will deal with those towards the end of the session. I think we've got a few in there already, some names I'm familiar with. So now let's go over to Carly. So Carly, thank you so much for joining us today. I will just obviously reiterate what Chris said. We're so pleased that you're here with us and taking the time out. Really good of you. Just before I ask you some questions, would you like to tell us a bit about your role and you know, sort of MoMA? I think our partners would be really interested to hear about it.
I would love to, James. Thank you so much. And thank you for having me, and good afternoon, everyone. If you haven't been to MoMA before, if you haven't heard of MoMA, we are widely considered to have the world's greatest collection of modern and contemporary art. Icons like Vincent van Gogh's The Starry Night and Andy Warhol's Campbell's soup cans are in our collection. So just a few things that people have heard of before. We are located in Midtown Manhattan, and we are one of the most well-visited attractions in New York City, with an average of about 3 million visitors a year. What I do at the museum is handling tourism sales and marketing, and that accounts for just about 63 to 64% of our overall visitation. So really happy to talk about how passes fit into that whole component. And like John mentioned, I will bring you an objective perspective in that respect.
Right, okay, here we go. Hold on tight. Okay, so the first question is, what is your experience of working with passes?
So that is a very broad question that
yes.
I will try to distill down. We have a long history at MoMA of working with passes, and not just with Sightseeing Pass, with a number of other discount passes. But I'd be happy to go through sort of some of the pros and cons of those. One of the things, simply put, you know, discount passes do bring in more visitors, which is a plus on all sides, really. In some cases, I think it brings in visitors that are a bit more budget sensitive, which is something that we'll likely see quite a bit of in the future. Particularly in the United States, we know we're dealing with a lot of unemployment. We're dealing with people who are putting off vacations. So we know that budget sensitivity is going to be a factor moving forward. In terms of people who are visiting New York City, oftentimes they come just to the city itself and don't really have a plan for which exact attractions they're going to go to. So being part of a pass is really helpful in elevating your brand and making sure that they know that that is an option that's available to them when they do come to the city. In the case of Liverpool, I know that there's sports tourism, I know there's music tourism, there's arts and culture. So in that case, if someone's coming very specifically for, say, arts and culture, they might not be considering some of the other attractions that are available to them. So being part of a pass like Sightseeing Pass has its upside then in putting themselves in front of the customer as a whole. I know that, I think it was John that mentioned international visitation or international use of the pass. That's something that's super important to us at MoMA. International visitation is a huge component of our overall attendance. And when we look at what we can offer to foreign visitors, particularly in terms of getting through any language barriers that might be there. Passes actually play a really nice role there, which dovetails really nicely into the marketing that John mentioned too. Being included in these passes can really extend your brand awareness, but can also really extend your marketing efforts. For us, even though we are a large nonprofit institution, our marketing budgets are still relatively small. So being a part of a pass is really helpful in making sure that we can still get the correct information about our attraction out, that we can still get news about our exhibitions out. So it's particularly helpful in extending and really maximizing budgets.
That's really interesting. And I think a lot of our partners will certainly know about small marketing budgets as well. So they'll definitely be on the same wavelength as you there. So just regarding Liverpool then, so I'm guessing you think that as a city, we should really get behind this then, particularly with its global context.
I think it could be very useful in elevating the city, particularly in context to some of the other cities that are already working with Sightseeing Pass. It's just an elevation. It's helping people understand that not only is it a city with a lot of things to do, it's a city with a lot of things to do that you can do either in a easy number of days, or you can easily choose a number of attractions. And it would be a useful budget tool when planning a vacation.
Yeah, fantastic. Thank you very much. Great. Okay, well, I think at this point in time, I'll just have to say, thank you so much to Simon, John and Carly for taking the time to answer all those questions. Really do appreciate it. So I'm just having a look to see if we've got any questions here in our Q&A or chat boxes. So an interesting one that's come in here is regarding COVID. So, how do you see the pass working alongside COVID restrictions? Particularly, I know some attractions are obviously doing time, specific time slots for for their guests. So if you have any comments or experience that you could talk us through on that, that'd be great.
There's a few ways around it. And again, Carly, I know that you are also well versed, and feel free to jump in as we can three different ways. So if you were to take the technological route, of course, we can work with you to integrate with your ticketing system. We work with a system called Redeem, which isn't particularly, I guess it's not particularly well known in the UK, but it's not especially difficult to integrate. Or if you're working already with a Fair Harbor, hi Tyler, or a Boken or a similar tool, you'll be very familiar with the way that it works, the way that it all can kind of integrate together. And by integrating with our system, it makes it very easy for us to do that pre-bookable model. Separately, we can work around things like promo codes. We can ensure that you get the breakage as well. So if you are a walking tour and you are really needing, if you really need to know customer details, if you really need all of that information before, once that customer has come to you and said, hey, I'm using my pass on your 11 o'clock tour tomorrow, they've keyed in all of their information on your website or your Google form, or even just emailed you. What you can then do is send that customer's details to us. We will send all of their QR code details to you, and you can redeem. It's a little more manual, but you can redeem that in your system. So even if that customer doesn't turn up, you still get the breakage, you still get your money, and it's on the customer. So it's very, very happy to pass the money along to you guys so that you get the breakage. And then, as we've said before, as the world moves away from paper touch points, I think the pass is ideally placed to deal with that.
Yeah, I think to add to that, obviously we are all working on digital solutions in this moment where we're moving away from any type of paper voucher system that you might have been employing to a completely touchless, contactless system. That's the ideal. And additionally, there is a layer of reduced capacity, There's a layer of potentially moving from freestyle ticketing to time ticketing. So there are a lot of complexities there. But if you do have the capability to integrate the digital solutions into your ticketing system, that is the ideal way to go. That may be a pro in one way, but a con in another, in that it does take some time to do integrations. It does take some staff training to do that. Ultimately, it works out best in the end. It works out for you as a company in that everything is digitized. The reporting side is all digitized, so you don't have to do those manual counts of anything or those manual reconciliations. To the customer side, everything's manual. It's no longer manual, so they don't have to print anything out. It's all on their phone or their digital device. But there is that element of needing to invest some time and likely some staff training when you do have any digitization project. So something to keep in mind there. Great,
excellent. Thank you very much. So I'm just reading through some of these questions here. So I hope I'm getting them right. So we've got one here from Jeanette Goulston-Lincoln, who represents Strawberry Fields, amongst others. So her question is, for smaller or new attractions, the pass would be excellent for brand awareness and to extend marketing. But how do the redemptions work for the small players? And how successful is the pass regarding redemptions for them on average? Can either of you answer
that? Yeah, I'm happy to take that question. So the pass, the Sightseeing Pass has been operating for 3 years and a bit, since 2017. And they've catapulted from 1 New York pass to practically 19 destinations by now. We know how to drive business. We know we have built a very loyal clientele database. The pass holders download the app and they stick to the app. We see that they keep coming back. I know that we are in talks with you, James, about having another more thorough session to go into all those details and talk about what's the split between in-destination and out-of-destination sales, and how much does it go through concierge versus retail. But to give you to answer that question, most of the traffic is coming directly to sightseeingpass.com. So I truly think that we are bringing a lot. We can bring a lot of volume. It will be a new product for Pass. The Pass will be a new product for Liverpool. So we don't have any historic figures to reflect on. But we do know how to drive volume. It's how the business has been built.
I think to add to that as well, with our other hats on, we've been very, 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 very lucky to open 4 or 5 new attractions over the last 2 years, actually, both in London and in New York. And in a crowded marketplace like New York, where you have MoMA, you have the Met, you have bucket list museums, you have bucket list items on your hit list that you must check off. We've gone and we've opened Model Village in the middle of New York, and we've gone and we've opened a spy museum in the middle of New York. And you would kind of say, why would you do that in New York? But if you look at the pass model, and if you look at how the pass is being worked into those venues, we've again always seen the pass as a top 3 seller, and it's not small volumes by any means or any stretch of the imagination. And that's, again, it's not for a bucket list item. It's for something you might wake up on a Wednesday morning, flick through the app and say, oh, that's 2 blocks away. And I think, again, to the pass's credit, is that we don't just act as an OTA. We aren't just a marketplace. We aren't just Get Your Guide. Everything that we do is content-led. So if you go to sightseeingpass.com, you will see month-by-month guides for each of the destinations. So, for instance, if you are Strawberry Fields and you have an anniversary, we can highlight that in any given month. And then, of course, you play so heavily into the Beatles economy, and you play so heavily into the music economy of the city. So we can build you into itineraries as well. And again, that's something we can go into more depth in a second webinar if you guys will have us back, James. But we can put something together that starts or ends at Strawberry Fields, for instance. We also have in-destination marketing opportunities there. So again, if you're quieter on a Wednesday morning and you want us to push people in your direction to do that, then by all means we can work with you on an individual basis there too.
Great, thank you very much. So there's also, it's not a question, but it's more of a comment from Tom Cassidy from the Liverpool Football Club. He's had to leave the session, but he said, we've been missing this product for a long time. We're 100% behind the pass. So yeah, there we go. So that's a nice positive one from Tom. Also our friend Peter Rosenfeld, who owns Busybus. So he has asked, is this a breakage model? In other words, a fixed price for the pass with free entry into the member attractions. How would this work for high value experiences such as Busybus, who provide full day sightseeing tours for £40 plus? Can you answer that?
Yeah, of course. It's going to depend overall on what everybody's individual price is. So you might think £40 is a high price, whereas in London, it's not. So it kind of affects the overall pass model. So what we do is we feed everything into our magical computer algorithms that I know very little about. And the algorithm spits out the other end and says, this is the pass model, this is the pass product that you should come up with. And it will be one of two, or it could be both models, or it could be one of three models, as we have in New York and a few other markets. So we can either go day by day, and this is of course kind of more of a breakage model. You can then do a flex pass, as we call it, which means that you pick 6, 7, 8, 10 attractions that you can then visit within a 7-day period, or 30-day period, sorry. And that comes with a slightly higher price. So we can add higher value experiences into that product. In addition to that, in other cities, we also have a VIP pass as well, which gives you access to, say, I don't know if anyone from the Empire or the Everyman is on here at the moment, but if you're the Everyman, for instance, and you're a producing theatre, you don't want to be part of the basic pass itself, but you might want to be able to add theatre tickets to a VIP pass. Again, they come with a higher price type, then we can work with you on that. Thirdly, and it's like kind of slightly separately, is that we can work with you on one of our Pass Plus products as well. So again, if you're taking people out of the city, Peter, and you're taking them to Manchester, or if you're taking them to the Lake District, is we would love to work with you on a Liverpool Pass plus Busybus with a day out in the Lake District product. Of course, the volume is never going to be as big as if you were a pass inclusion, but it does mean that the customer still gets to work with you, that we still get to work with you, that everybody gets to collaborate, and everybody gets a share of the business.
Okay, excellent, thank you. So we'll just take a few more and then we'll move on to the next part. But I've got one here from Richard Barber. Hi Richard, haven't seen you for a very long time, hope you're well. So Richard's business is handheld mobile video tours, which is app-based. So it's an app-based walking tour product that provides users with varying length walking tours with informative videos that play on the user's smartphone when they reach key sightseeing points in the city, along with hospitality and retail offers. How can locally created digital platforms like this and other existing tour products and individual tour guides work alongside the Liverpool Sightseeing Pass?
That was a very elaborate question. Thank you.
Very good question, yeah.
That was, yes. So first of all, the general idea is we want to work with everyone, and it's if it's practically feasible, we do mean it. If we should, of course, Richard, we should get in touch. We should talk about this, see if what the operations behind it would be, and if we can make it work, we would be more than happy to buddy up and see what setup best fits your business. But we would absolutely love to work with you. And I know that it has been mentioned before. How are you going to work with the bigger players versus the smaller players? Bigger attractions, smaller attraction. We will not. We are impartial. We want to work with as many as possible, and the volume is always enough. In the past business model, the volume is always enough to have multiple choices in destination.
Okay, excellent, thank you. And I'm guessing this is quite similar. So this is Alex from Fab Four taxi tours, again, very popular attraction. Would this work for private tours, such as Fab Four taxi tours?
If it's the frequency and consistency is there, we should be talking, yes.
Okay, excellent. Okay, so I think we'll leave it there on the questions. I will promise that anyone who sends a question, we will answer it by email. There are a few coming in regarding commissions, etc., but as we've already explained, they'll be taken up on a one-to-one basis. So we will now move on to the next part of the session, where we will now move over to Chris Brown, actually. Yes. So Chris Brown is back online, and we have a few questions for Chris, which are going to be asked by John and Simon, I think.
Wasn't too difficult.
John, do you want to ask it?
Yeah, I know. We just have the one question, which is really what are you hoping for as a city as a result of the pass?
Yeah.
Well, yeah. I mean, I think. Listen, I think we're in extraordinary times at the moment, and first and foremost, I'm very conscious of the fact that the attraction sector is a tough old game out there at the moment, and COVID has changed the landscape dramatically. But we have to, I think, we have to look positive and feel that there is a return, and something past COVID to look forward to. Yeah? And I think being where we need to be in that space is we need to be ahead of that space. No point waiting to get to there and then think, what else could we do? I generally believe that we've got to look at creating new demand, new audiences, new innovative ideas that will stimulate people to come and use our product. We can't just rely on going back to normal and everybody just doing what they did previously. So to me, this gives us an opportunity to get something in the marketplace, which gives another reason to come to this part of the world. Gives us another great reason to get a great way of working, cross-working between our various attractions between Liverpool and the wider city region, to create that sort of camaraderie and new ways of working. I think the pass, for me, does a number of those things in that space. It's not just the pass itself; it's that joint working and that joint camaraderie, which I think is critical during this sort of period. Yeah. And I want to basically also feel that we can start creating positive dialogue. And the reason why I wanted to do this webinar today was, we are, dealing on a day-to-day basis with, mainly bad news or negative news or things not working. And we need to think that there are positive things to come. And I think this is a good example of an initiative that could work. And I think I can tell from the questions that are being raised, there's a lot of interest in it. There's a lot of questions, as you would expect, about it. But that's the kind of rationale for doing this exploratory conversation, followed by a more detailed one where we can get under the skin of that. But I think I was very taken, with Carly's kind of context of that, in terms of the flexibility and how you can use that, and also from how the pass can be modeled in many, many different ways. So I think all in all, it's something that we would, I've been keen on for a while. I think picking up Tom Cassidy's earlier point about the fact that, something we've talked about a lot in this city region, we've always been a little bit questionable of ourselves to say, well, have we got the right quality of product? Have we got enough product? Do we need to wait for something else to come? But actually, I believe that our current stock is very, very good. And we've got new attractions coming down the line. We've got Eureka that will come across on the Wirral. We've got, Shakespeare North coming up in Knowsley, in 22. We've got new product coming. So this is a great time, I think, and a great opportunity to get this moving now and start to basically look at how we can bring new audiences. And I think for this question around, does it benefit the large? Does it benefit the small? From my view, I think this is all about creating audiences that benefits everybody. It's about adding value, and it's about creating more demand for our offer. And I think packaging all this together, gives us a much better chance of getting the strength and depth of our offer out there a bit more easily. So that's the benefits I think it will bring us.
I think it's incredibly well put.
Okay.
Great. Okay.
Okay. So.
Yeah. So one thing I did just miss out then was to talk about what the next steps would be. So apologies for that. So Simon, are you able just to go over that for us, please? Thank you.
Yeah, absolutely. Very quickly, you can find more information about how to get in contact with us through Marketing Liverpool, and of course through directly through our emails and numbers, which are shared at this very instance in the chat box. So if you wanted to head to marketingliverpool.co.uk/pass, you will find a lot of information there and how to get in touch. There will be a follow-up email to all the attendees. As James said, we would love to answer every question as a follow-up. And I do believe that we are in talks for a second, more thorough, as Chris just mentioned, get under the skin of it session, which would be more than happy to invite you all.
Okay, fantastic. Thank you very much. So Chris, I think it's now over to you to sum up and close the session, if that's okay, please.
Yeah, no problem. So first and foremost, those who joined the webinar today, thanks for your interest in the subject matter. Thanks for some really good questions and good discussion there, which I think will set up nicely for the next phase of this, for the next discussion with those attractions who are interested in taking this forward. At the end of the day, this is an initiative we want to do for the attractions. So it's the attractions that need to drive the next stage of their views and thoughts about this. But as I said before, ML are very keen on this as an opportunity. I'd particularly like to thank you, Carly, for giving up your time and giving us your insights on that. We have many close relationships in New York. It's a very it's a lovely city, and I'm very hopeful that in time to come we'll be able to kind of see you in a physical sense, and and some of our partners get a chance to see that wonderful museum you have over there. Yeah. And also to John and Simeon, because John, we've worked with you guys on a number of different projects, a number of ideas. I'm very enthused about the kind of business case you're pulling together here and the opportunity to work with you. I love working with sometimes with smaller companies rather than tech giants. So I know we'll get that personalized service as well. And I hope it's a conversation now that we can accelerate, as I say, in this difficult climate where creating positive, forward-thinking conversations is difficult against this backdrop. But I think if we can accelerate off the back of this and get the next the phases of this moving, I'm sure we can hit that November the 2nd deadline, and we can hopefully look forward to a period where our attractions can get back to the normal day-to-day business, and they can be welcoming many people to come to Liverpool using this pass. So thanks very much. Thanks also to Stefan and my team for the technicals. There's always the challenges of doing these Zoom webinars, is that you're kind of always worried about whether the technicals will go down. So thanks so much for that, Stefan. Most importantly, thanks very much to you guys for joining the webinar today. I hope you find it interesting. Please do follow through on it with any other questions you've got. You've been given the contact details as well. James, many of you know anyway. So let's keep the conversation moving. Let's keep the discussion moving, and let's see if we can get this opportunity over the line and done. And in the meantime, enjoy the sunshine and the rest of the day. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Bye.